Hello everybody. Welcome back to another session on Python programming. We are discussing iterative constructs. What we had seen in the last session were some assignments that we had went ahead solving. We had completed the two jump statement. One is break, another is continue, is what we had seen. Today we'll move further and explore the another iterative construct. But before I jump ahead with the next iterative construct, the concept that we'll be covering up today is a type or a class called as ranges. So let's understand what these ranges are all about and why should we know about it. So what advantage does this particular concept of ranges provide us? As the name says, range. What comes to your mind when you hear the word range? Range is like 1 to 10 can be a range, correct? Values, range. So same thing, to represent similar kind of ranges, we have a type called as ranges, which comes in Python, a class called as ranges, which comes in Python. So let's explore what these ranges are and how we can make use of it. You may be wondering, we are discussing iterative constructs, and why did I start off with range? There's a reason behind it, and you'll very soon understand what's the reason behind it as I complete the discussion on ranges. So let's explore this concept of ranges and then later understand why did we discuss it. So we have sequence types like list, tuple, and ranges. So ranges is also a sequence. That means it will be a sequence of values that you may think about. The arguments to the range constructor must be an integer. So there is a type called as range class. It will take in 3 parameters, out of which the last parameter is optional. They have start and a stop, and another is a step. Always remember, whatever comes in square bracket is always optional. That means start and stop are compulsory, step is optional. So the range type represents immutable sequence of numbers. Like we had tuples, which are immutable. Likewise, range will also create immutable sequence of numbers. So another important thing that we're understanding now, ranges have to do with numbers. We will not have range of strings or range of characters. It is commonly used for looping a specific number of times in for loop. There is where the relation lies. We are discussing concept of loops, iterative construct. Today we plan to discuss concept of for loop. And in for loop, you will find very often developers using concept of range. The reason for that is for loop is a counting loop. Although you may have done similar kind of counting using while loop, it's not recommended. Whenever the number of iterations are known beforehand and you have to count certain number of iterations, it is always recommended to go in for this automatic loop called as for loop. I have used the word counting loop and I'm saying automatic loop. Now there is a reason behind it. You will understand as we go ahead. So range has a start, stop, and step. Oh, that means start is also optional and step is also optional. Only thing compulsory is stop. So if I give only one parameter to range, that's also okay. You can optionally give start, you can optionally give step. So only one parameter is compulsory, that is stop. So when we do not give start value, by default it is 0. Okay. When we have to give stop value, and when we give step value, it's whatever step value that you have supplied. If you do not supply the step value, it is 1. That means if I say start is 5, stop is 10, okay, stop is 10, and step I don't give. So it will be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's an immutable sequence of numbers. It will go ahead creating. So if I create a range, you can access range as a range object. That means like a list and other things. There are sequence of numbers. So if I have a range of 0 to 10, and I can say, give me the first element from it. I may have a range of 0 to 10. I can say, give me the last element from it. All the indexing, other things, that means positive index from left to right, negative index from right to left. All such things are applicable for range. So let's jump ahead with examples for ranges. And once we have understood this concept of range, then we'll see as to how to use this concept of range in for loop. So let's take a few examples to understand this particular concept. Here we go. Let's debug this particular code. That's the best way to go about. So I say range of 5. That means I have only supplied the stop value. Now, when I supply the stop value, where will it start? It will start with 0. Okay, where will it end? Will it end with 5 or will it end with 4? Obviously, we have been saying the end, whenever a range is given, the end value is always exclusive. Second, limit is always exclusive. So it could be properly between 0 to 4. So let's check it out. Let's debug this code step by step to understand how does it behave. So let's focus on the output over here. So we create a range and then we print the type. It's an object of type range. It's an object of type range. After that, I print this range. So when we print this range, it says 0 to 5. Oh, that's what we have created. So what's the first element? So my range is referring to this object of type range. It's a reference. My range is a reference referring to an object of type range. So if I say my range of 0, I would like to have the first element from the range. So the first element from the range is 0. I would like to know the last element from the range. So -1. If I look at -1, it says 4. That means when I say range of 5, I got a sequence of numbers from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 numbers I have got, but starting from 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is what I have got because the default start value is 0. Step value is 1. So if I want to see all the numbers in this range, so I can convert this range object into a list. So I'll get all the values at one time. So it was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I could convert, it's an iterable, it's a sequence. Any iterable could be passed to the constructor like list, tuple, set. So I could create those. So I create a tuple. That's, look at this, while this was a list of the elements from the range. This is tuple containing all elements from the range. Likewise, I could also create set of the elements from the range. That's totally our choice. Now, we'll play around over here slightly. So what I'll do is I'll remove this breakpoint from here and I'll put a breakpoint over here. Now we create a range saying, oh, let's run this code again by giving only one range here. So we plan to jumpstart from here, suppose. Okay, I'll stop this debugging that we are doing. I'll stop this debug and I'll debug once again. So focus on this line number 24. We are saying range of 10. So when the range is 10, I just want to show you what are the values. By default, start is 0, step is 1. So let's jump onto this particular code. Let's debug this particular code. We are at line number 27 and we want to know the attribute. What's the start value for such a range? It's 0. What's the stop value? It is 10. What's the step value? It is 1. So this range has attribute like start, stop, and step. 0, 10, and 1. So what's the range of values? Is 0 to 9. So 0 to 9, these are 10 elements that we have in the range. Okay, that's one way to do it. I'll stop the debugging once again. I'll comment out this particular statement. I'll uncomment this and we'll start debugging again. Here I've given start value and stop value. So when I say 5, 10, so start with 5, end with 9. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Again, 5 elements is what we should have. Let's debug this particular code and see. So while we are debugging this code, we now start 5 and 10. Look at this line number 25. We have created range, start and stop is what we are given. So let's see what is the start value. It is 5, stop value is 10, step value is 1. The list agar aap dekhoge to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are 5 values that we have. We could have created a range in a slightly different way. I could have said range of 3, 10, 2. Now when I use the word 2, number 2, that means step is every alternate number, every second end number. So let's debug this particular code all over again and see. Now focus on line number 26. It says range of 3, 10, 2. So what's the start value now? It's 3. What's the step value? 10. Step value 2. List kya hai abhi? Every alternate number. So it will be 3, 5, 7, 9. 3, 5, 7, 9 because step value is 2. Okay. And if I try and change the attribute start to 8 later, it's immutable sequence. It generates an error. So ranges are immutable. Any attempt made to change would generate an error. Now, let's look at the range once again. Now, range is, if I already have this range, that is 3, 10, and 2. I already have it. So I can create a new range saying minus of start, that means -3, minus of stop, that is -10, and minus of step, correct? Numbers dot step. तो numbers dot step तो कितना है 2 है. तो ये शुरू होगा 3 से डिक्रीमेंट करते हुए जाएगा -10 तक, correct? Every alternate number. So let's see how does the range gets created over here. So it's not necessary to, the sequence always has to be sequence of positive numbers. It's your choice. So we create this range and we see, oh, we already done that. I should have commented out this statement as well. Let me comment out this statement as well and debug the code all over again. Here we are. We are debugging the code all over again. Range, my range print किया -3, -10, -2. रेंज का स्टार्ट -3 है, स्टॉप -10 है, स्टेप वैल्यू 2 और -2 है, and a -3, -5, -7, -9, you could create similar kind of ranges. It's your choice, but you have to be very careful. Suppose if I say start from -10, go till -10, start from -1, go till -10 by incrementing by 2, how is it possible? -1 plus 2 will go into the positive side. You will never come to 10, -10. If I start with -1, I want to go till -10 by incrementing the value by 2. That's impossible. So in this case, we would get an invalid range. If I run this particular code directly, let's see what happens. Oh, let's debug the code from here to see what happens. So let's debug the code from here. Let's understand. So we are given a wrong kind of range. So when I print the range, it says -1, -10, 2. So start value क्या है? -1 है. Stop value क्या है? -10 है. Step value क्या है? 2 है. But that would be an empty range now. There is nothing in that range. Because such a range cannot be created. Why it can be created? Because you cannot start with -1, end at -10 by incrementing the value by 2. So you got an empty range. There is nothing inside that range. What you could have done is, instead of -2, you could have said +2, you could have said -2. So that would make a difference. Now you will get values in the range of -1 to -9 in descending order. So let's see. Here we go. So we create this range object. Now we print this range. It's -1, -10, -2. That's feasible. ये possible है. So now we look at this -1 से लेके -9 तक in descending order is what it has gone and created. Well, it's not always either positive or negative. That's not the case. You can say 5 से लेके start करेंगे, -10 तक जाएंगे. Every time I decrement, the next sequence will be negative, means decrement by -2. That's possible. 5 -2 is 3, 3 -2 is 1, 1 -2 is -1, and so on. So let's debug this particular code and see. So while we are debugging, this is the range that we have. Start, stop, and the range. Look at the range. 5, 3, 1, -1, -3, -5, -9, and so on. So we got the right kind of result. So that's how you could create ranges in different ways. Okay. And we saw this. This is possible. I can say list of range of 5. That's also okay. We saw all this. Let's look at range of things here. Let's jump over here. So if I say range of 5, range are like containers. So I say range of 5. We have done this, or whatever is required, we have done it. Let's jump over here. I go to line number 61. I say range of 5. So if I print this range, it says 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, because I convert this range object to a list. List takes in any iterable. Range is iterable. Okay, so I'm checking membership test. Containment. Is 4 in the range? Yes, it is very much in the range. True. 4 not in my range? False. 7 in my range? False. 7 not in my range? True. So that's how you work with ranges. Have you understood this basic idea about range? Quick. Okay, now that you understood this, let's jump ahead with the for loop. Now we know how to construct range. Now that we know how to construct range, it's important for us to use it as a sequence of elements over which for loop will iterate over. For loop will iterate over that particular range. So let's jump on to the for statement. That's another very common use between construct for loop. So let's understand this for loop. For in, so we have for in statement is another looping statement which iterates over a sequence of objects. So what it requires is a sequence of objects, not like C loop. Okay, where we say start with 1, end with less than equal to 5, and stop I++. Here we give a range object. So what is the collection that we are given? It will iterate over that particular collection. It will iterate over that iterable. That is, it goes through each item in the sequence. A sequence is just an ordered collection of items. So if you want to iterate over ordered collections of an item, in that case, and it could be set, it could be list, it could be anything. So if you ever want to iterate over ordered collection of items, you can always think about for loop. Okay, it has to be an ordered collection. Unordered collection will not do. We always need an ordered collection. For statement works on strings, lists, tuples, and all built-in iterables. So anything which is iterable, wherein I can visit from one element to another. So we can use for loop with anything which is iterable. something over which we can cycle. When Python runs a for loop, it assigns the item in the iterative object to the target one by one, and executes the loop body for each. So if I have, say, days of the week, and I'm iterating over days of the week, the first day will be Monday, then Tuesday, then Thursday, Friday, then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever it is. So the for loop will iterate over every element. So what's the syntax? If I say for target in iterable object, so every element in this iterable object will be assigned to the target. I can process that particular target in all the statements. That's it. And it can also have else. That means when the for loop finishes iterating over the iterable object, you go to else. That means you do not terminate the for loop by using break. Because if you terminate the loop abnormally by using break, then this else will not get executed. Optional else part, if you didn't hit the break. So the statements which are included in the else part will definitely get executed only when break statement did not terminate the loop. So if I'm saying for target in iterable object can be set, list, string, range, it could be anything. So this for loop will automatically iterate over these elements. Iterate means visit every element. And once it is finished visiting all the elements inside this iterable object, it will go to else part. A built-in range function available since Python, the first version, produces a series of successively higher integers which can be used as indexes for. Range function is used if you do not, if we do need to iterate over a sequence of numbers, it generates arithmetic progression. And we have seen how does it generate arithmetic progression. So let's jump over with an example. Watch it over. I say for counter in the range 11. Oh, when I say range 11 means stop at 10, 0 to 10. That means 11 elements. I could have said range 10. So if I said range 10, it could have been 0 to 9. So when I say range 11, it's 0 to 10. 0 to 10 are total 11 elements. So I'm saying for count in the range 11, print counter, it would be best if we debug this particular code. I start debugging, watch the variable explorer, or let us clear the variables first. Here you go. I removed all the variables. So I'm saying for count in the range 11. The moment I say that, we go here, counter for initial value is 0. 0 in the range of 0 to 10, yes. Print counter, it will print 1, 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at the value of counter, excuse me. It is 7 now. 7 in the range of 0 to 10, yes. It will print 7. 8 in the range 0 to 10, it is printed 8. 9 in the range 0 to 10, yes, it is printed 9. Now counter becomes 10. Now 10 in the range 0 to 10, yes. Okay. But counter value will now become 11. Okay, so it has become 11. 11 counter. Our counter was in the range of 0 to 10. Till that time it ran. Moment, and the range is like 0 to 10 only. So it has printed numbers from 0 to 10. Although you have said 11 over here. So the moment the counter becomes 10, and so there are 10 elements, 0 to 9, 0 to 10, 11 elements. So it has iterated over all the elements. It's not like I++ that we do in C++ in Java or C. That's not how it is. We have some collection of elements. So range of 11 created a sequence of numbers from 0 to 10. So it will iterate over all that sequence of elements from 0 to 10. It will stop. Finished. So whatever is the sequence that we give over here, for loop will iterate over those sequence. Now if I say for range in 1 to 11, so 1 to 11 means 1 to 10 sequence. So it will iterate over all the elements from 1 to 10. If it has to iterate over all the elements from 1 to 10, let's go to the next code. Let's see what we can do. The next code. Here we go. So look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It has started with 1 and went till 10. What did I do this time? I put a next breakpoint here, line number 15. और मैंने कहा ये पूरा for loop एक shot ही run कर लो. For that we click over here. So I continue execution until next breakpoint. Control F12. Okay, now I create a range saying range of 0 to 11. 0 to 11 means 10, 11 values. कैसे? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Correct. So that becomes totally 11 values. 0 selected 10 11 values. So range object has now been created. I say, what's the first range value? So first range value is 0. So I say 0 less than 10. Yes. So यहाँ आपको counter increment करना होगा. And here you don't have to do anything of that sort. It will automatically get incremented. You don't have to worry. Rather, there is no question of incrementing. Range creates a sequence and for loop just iterates over the sequence. Understand? Don't confuse with the for loop that is present in other languages. Here, range creates a sequence and for loop just iterates over all the elements inside that range. Now, to help you understand that, I'll use for loop for something other than ranges to help you understand. When I say sequence, when I say collection of elements, ordered collection of elements. So for loop can iterate over any ordered collection of elements. So here, if I was using while loop, I'll say counter less than 10, counter is equal to counter plus 1, and then you'll print the value of counter, and so on. That's unnecessary work that we have to do. So here, or I'll jump over here directly. So what we have printed is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what we could achieve in this for loop for printing values in the 1 to 10, you're doing almost the same thing by writing this for loop, unnecessary efforts. You could have said for counter equal to 1, counter less than 11, print counter is equal to counter plus 1. That's the kind of for loop that we had seen, learn to write. That could also print 1 to 10. Now, if you look at this, printing the values from 1 to 10 in for loop took so much of efforts. You had to take a counter, initialize it 1, check counter is still less than 11, yeah, less than or equal to 10, print counter, increment counter. And look at for loop. These two lines have done the magic for you. For count in the range 1 to 11, print counter, matter close. Don't have to worry about it, incrementing, decrementing, testing condition, nothing. So this way of iterating over sequence of numbers is far less error prone as compared to here. यहाँ आपने counter initialize करना भूल गए, problem. Increment करना भूल गए, problem. गलत तरीके से increment किया, problem. Condition कैसे लिख रहे, problem. For loop on line number 8 is error free. You are saying for count in the range 11, count in the range 11 means it's a sequence of numbers in the range of 0 to 10. Just iterate over that particular sequence. So if I say count in the range 1, 11, 2, that means all odd numbers in the range of 1 to 10. So if I just run this particular code to the next point, it says A1 print kar liya. Okay, let's see what happens. 3 print kar liya, then 5 print kar liya. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and that's it. It comes out. Now, I say for counting the range 2 to 11. Are all even numbers will print 2 because step 2 carry up. So when you say step 2, look at this 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and out. So now if I say counter in the range 10 to 10, 0, -1, ये descending order में जाएगा 10 से लेके 0 तक. But 0 तक नहीं जाएगा, 1 तक जाएगा. So let's see. If you run this through, so it is printed 10, then 9, and then 8, and then 7, and then 6. And then 5, and then 4, and then 3, and then 2, watch it, and then 1, and it comes out. It comes out. Okay. So it's that straightforward for us to express our ideas. I'll just remove these breakpoints. Another thing you could do is like you could just remove all breakpoints. That's also possible. Here. Now I say counter in range of 10 to 0, -2. So it is all in descending orders. All even numbers in descending orders is what it will end up printing. Okay, so let's jump over here. It's printing 10, then 9, 8, then 6, then 4. I pressed the wrong button. Okay, 8, then 6, then 4, then 2. Okay, and then it's out. Okay. So I'll stop over here. But I could create a range. But I will say a range of A to Z. Oh, it's generating an error. It says range is only for numeric values. So if I say A to Z, that will not create a range. So in that case, what I could do? So while these two statements, this statement will generate error because you cannot create a range of strings. You can create range only of integers. What I can do is I say start equal ORD of A, that will give us 65. ORD of Z plus 1. So 91 plus 1 is 92. So I'll get the stop. And then I say print start and stop. So let's see what does it print. If I jump over here, or let me jump in here, and see the last set of values that have got printed. क्या प्रिंट हुआ देखो यार, A B C D E F G करते हुए कहाँ तक आ गया, Z तक आ गया. How did you achieve that? Because we said A का ordinal ले लिया, that is 65. Z का ले लिया, that is 91. 91 plus 1 becomes 92. यानी 65 से लेके 92 नहीं sorry, 65 से
Z क्या वाला 90 था 90
90 है. तो if Z is 90, तो plus 1 becomes 91. तो from 65 to 90 सारे numbers print करने हैं. But मुझे number नहीं चाहिए था, उसका corresponding character चाहिए था. तो मैंने कहा CHR of that number, CHR of 65. Like if I'm over here and if I write a statement saying CHR of 90, oh, that gives me Z. Likewise, if I say CHR of 66, that gives me B. So we actually took the numbers, but instead of printing the number, we are converting that number to a character and printing all alphabets in the range of A to Z. We could do that. Likewise, if I have a range or if I have a sequence, a string is a collection of characters. So I could actually run through this particular sequence. So what I could do, I could say for alpha in Rishikesh, print alpha. So it will cycle through this sequence. It'll take one character after another and print all those characters. Let's jump and see. So we are here and we start iterating. First it prints H, then R, then I, then S, H, I, K, E, S, H, and done. Out it goes. So I can have range. Oh, what's the range of values that I'm creating now? Can anyone predict what's the range of values that we create?
from 0.5 to 5.1
Output
interval of
क्या आएगा?
0.5 1.5 till 5.
Correct. That's what we would expect. So if I try and do that, let's see what happens. Sorry. We're here. Let's see what happens. It generates an error. Because the concept of range only works with integers. It does not work with floating point values, neither does it work with alphabets. So like strings, you cannot create a range of strings. You cannot create a range of floating point numbers. That's a very common kind of requirement, isn't it? But then that's not supported by range. So is it not supported by Python? No, Python has a way out, but range does not do that particular thing. This range function or a class that does not fulfill the requirement. There is something else that will take care of it. So you're expecting like 0.5, then 1, then 1.5. These are very common kind of requirements that we have. But to fulfill this common requirement, you need to know about some other library module, and that is what I'll be taking up today. Today we'll see as to how to take some other libraries also into Python. Now here I say for number in the where is the range? Why have you a list? List is iterable, like string is iterable, so list is iterable. So I can also give a list over here. So it will iterate over all the elements. Need not be in ascending or descending order, whatever the elements inside the iterable. So for loop, it is just like it will have some group of elements and it will just iterate over those elements. Now those elements can be of any type. So it has a sequence, it has a collection. If I have an ordered collection of elements, for loop will only iterate over those ordered collection of elements. Range is just one more technique of creating a sequence of values. But I can, like here I give a string, likewise here I give a list. So let's jump over here and see. We are at line number 62. Here I am, line number 62 pe hu main. Let's start once again. And we say for num in so and so range, let's see what's the first value, 3, 4, 56, 78, and 8. So it has cycled over all the elements. And out it comes. You may give a tuple. It can cycle over all the elements inside the tuple. Watch it, all elements are over the tuple. We can give a set. Okay. So ये आपने लिया set 3, unordered collection है, but collection है, grouping of elements है, dictionary है, so it can over the elements of the dictionary also. But no, जब मैं dictionary के through iterate कर रहा हूँ, it is printing only the keys. Can you see 5, 7, and 8? It is printing only the keys. तो keys चाहिए था, तो I can have a dictionary dot keys भी कह सकता था. क्यों कहते हो? By default, it will iterate only over the keys. But if I really want कि keys के साथ साथ values भी iterate हो, look at this again, only keys are being iterated. Or if I want values, या पूरा चाहिए 39, that is square, 416, 525, 749. So I can say items. So that gives you dict items. Dict items also iterable. So we will iterate. Look at this, tuple 39, 416 pairs, 525, 749. Whenever you come across tuple dictionary, think about a pair of values. It's items. So key value items. So it is iterating over all the items that are there. So here you go. You have said items and we have cycled through all the elements. So here, let's jump over once again over here. Here we are line number 81 पे हम लोग. तो पहला item 39, 416, 525, 4749, 864, and out it comes. Now here when I say values, we will iterate only over the values. Para 9, page 16, page 25, page 49, or page 64, and out we come. So we can iterate over a dictionary, only the keys, all the items, or only the values. That's okay. Point that I'm quite trying to put across is for loop is not like for loop what you learn in other languages. This for loop what we have over here in Python only iterates over the collection or the container or the sequence that you supply to it. So whatever the sequence of elements that you are given, it will only iterate over those elements that you are given, nothing more than that. Understood this, everybody? Make a note of it, सिर्फ सुन के नहीं चलेगा. Because रिवीजन के लिए आपके पास कुछ तो चाहिए. And believe me, these topics are simple, but फिर भूल जाते हैं हम लोग, याद नहीं. What we'll do is we'll take one small assignment. You can solve it, and then we'll proceed further. Then will come my assignment. Let me first share the files with you for your reference. Have you all received it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the question is, I want you to create a dictionary. And in this particular dictionary, I want a number and its square. But the starting number and the end number, the range, whose squares I would like to store in the dictionary is to be accepted from the user. So accept the start and the end from the user and store into a dictionary. What do you want to store in the dictionary? In the dictionary, I would like to store the range of the pairs of values. So for an example, user gives start value as 10 and stop value as 10. Correct. So in that case, 10 से लेके stop value 100 suppose. So 10 से लेके 100 तक सारे number का square dictionary में store हो जाने चाहिए. So I want you to construct a dictionary which store pair of the start and its square or the number and its square So accept a start and stop value. Okay, so you get a range of values and create a dictionary storing square of all those numbers in that sequence. Okay, so you'll have to create a dictionary which will store the number and its square, correct? And its square, and you're going to give the starting number and the end number. In what range you would like to construct that dictionary? I hope you understood the question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, everybody understood. This will go doubt your question.
No, sir.
Okay, so I break out into rooms and start immediately. Because why haven't you joined?
एक मिनट वो शेयर नहीं हो रहा, किसी और को बोलना कर।
सर चेक करो।
You got it. Never give a name to a file which is same as that of any keyword. For is a keyword in Python. A file का भी नाम भी for. That's a bad idea. Okay, so let's check out this particular code. We'll first change the name of the file. Suppose if I have a list or string ABC, if I say ABC of 0, that gives me the first element. And if I say ABC of 1 colon colon, it gives me BC. भूल गए क्या? ग्रैबिंग है, ये क्यों इतना मुश्किल कर रहे हैं? 1 से लेके लेन डॉट स्टार्ट. Okay, while I can actually exclude A and get only BC just by saying 1 colon. So for others who are trying may not understand what has been done over here, let me explain. He's getting an integer, or this team is getting an integer, and they would like to make it run even for +5 or -5. So idea is they are first getting rid of all the spaces. Once they have got rid of all the spaces, if not str of 0 in plus or minus, कितना गलत सोच रहे हैं यार? अगर पहला कैरेक्टर प्लस और माइनस नहीं है, then why do you want to ignore the first? तो ये गलत हो रहा है फिर. Look at this. I'm going to run something. Let's see what happens. If I run Q4056, तो क्या कह रहे हैं? ये फेल हो गया. Okay. ये यहाँ फेल हो गया और टाइप एरर आ रहा है. Okay. कह रहे आप ये प्लस और माइनस नहीं है, तो पहला कैरेक्टर प्लस और माइनस नहीं है, तो अभी और भी बड़ी प्रॉब्लम देखो. इफ आई गिव 123, तब भी एरर. Okay, so let's understand where the things are going wrong. We are first taking an integer, that's a string that will get start value. And then we are saying start dot strip, all the spaces taken care of. If the first character is plus or minus, if the first character is plus or minus, so only for validation that this data that I'd like to check for, so I'll say 10 is equal to our data is equal to I can say start of one so and so, and then or else it is whatever it is, whatever is the data. And I'm not gonna take this condition over here. I could say else data is equal to start. अब मुझे चेक करना है बाकी सारे डिजिट्स है क्या, तो I'm just going to check in this data सारे digits है क्या, finished. Data is either going to be all characters excluding the first symbol sign or the entire thing as it is. And I'm going to check whether it is digits. If not digits, enter value input and I'm going to terminate the program. If it is not digit, I'm going to terminate the program. Then I'm going to accept this strip कर लिया stop to all. And then here I'm going to say your start is equal to data. जो है start वही रहेगा, क्योंकि कुछ करना ही नहीं. तो stop आपने ले लिया, stop को आपने strip कर लिया, तो strip की जगह मैं यहाँ data लिख देता हूँ. Spaces do not matter for me. Data. So this could be easy for me. Data of 0. तो stop का वाली जो भी है वैसे ही रहेगा. Data. So it's the same code that I have to write. I don't have to worry. Then I have to convert them into integer, which you have forgot. I hope you're understanding everybody. If we then convert into an integer, then we think I'll start greater than stop है, तो step is +1. Start less than stop है, तो step is equal to -1. क्यों else और एक कंडीशन लिखो. और उल्टा कर सकते हैं. ये +1 है. When we create an empty dictionary, अपने यहाँ convert किया है. This has to be done even before you compare. And then number in the range start, stop +1, step, dict of number is so and so. And I want to print a dictionary. Enter the value, start value, I say -10, stop value -20, ये आ गया आपका एम्प्टी डिक्शनरी। क्यों आ गया एम्प्टी डिक्शनरी? लेट्स प्रिंट द स्टार्ट स्टॉप द रेंज। -5, -10, ये आ गया यार 1। स्टार्ट लेस देन, नेगेटिव नंबर्स के लिए अलग आएगा, पॉजिटिव नंबर्स के लिए अलग आएगा। तो
फिर वो कंडीशन
आपने लिखा हुआ कंडीशन
स्टार्ट, मैंने वहाँ पे +1 लिखा था।
ना ना ना, उससे नहीं कुछ फर्क पड़ने वाला है। पॉजिटिव नंबर्स में 1 is smaller than 5, नेगेटिव नंबर्स में -1 is larger than -5। स्टार्ट लेस देन स्टॉप, स्टार्ट का वैल्यू हियर, स्टार्ट का वैल्यू इज लार्जर देन स्टॉप।
यस सर, तो स्टेप -1 होना चाहिए।
और अगर ये पॉजिटिव होता तो 5 इज लार्जर देन स्टॉप।
5 इज लार्जर देन स्टॉप, तब -1 होता है।
ये -1 ले लिया और ये +1
Yes.
ले लिया,
Yes.
समझो +1 ले लिया। तो स्टार्ट का वैल्यू इज लेस देन स्टॉप, -5 इज लेस देन -10, कंडीशन ट्रू और फॉल्स?
फॉल्स।
फॉल्स। तो
-1
यहाँ आएगा
रहेगा।
नहीं, फिर नेक्स्ट स्टेप -5 -1 रहेगा। क्या
Yes.
-5 से लेके -10 तक जाएंगे?
यस सर,
जाएंगे,
-5 से -1
-10
करते
तक
जाए।
माइनस करते हुए जाएंगे।
हाँ,
क्या बात कर रहे हैं?
फिर -5 से स्टेप -1 है ना,
हाँ,
तो -5, फिर -5 -1 -3।
देखो -5 -10, you want this. So validation was to be done in this fashion। ये जो हमने वैलिडेशन कर लिया, ये तरीका था वैलिडेशन। क्या आपने सिर्फ पहला कैरेक्टर ले लिया, अदरवाइज आपका डेटा जो है वही रहेगा, और फिर डेटा को चेक कर रहे इफ इट इज डिजिट्स। इसे और भी कम कर सकते हैं, यू कैन रिड्यूस द नंबर ऑफ स्टेटमेंट्स इवन फर्दर। व्हाट यू कुड डू इज, डेटा तो आपने स्ट्रिप करते हुए ले लिया है, तो अगर मैं ये नहीं देता हूँ, डेटा डॉट एल्स नहीं डालता हूँ तो भी चल जाएगा, ये एल्स नहीं दिखता हो तो भी चल जाएगा। लेट्स रन द कोड। This will run for 4 to 10. It will run for -4 to -10. So clear. So just this was enough. If the first character inside that input -4 लिए है, -4 में प्लस और माइनस है क्या, तो I'm just going to ignore the plus or -4 को इग्नोर करता, प्लस या माइनस साइन को इग्नोर करता, and then rest of the things digits है क्या, अगर rest of the things digit नहीं है तो I'll generate an error। सेकेंड इनपुट ले लिया -10, उसको स्ट्रिप कर लिया, उसमें अगर पहला कैरेक्टर प्लस या माइनस है तो वो पहला कैरेक्टर हटा दिया, एंड बाकी सारे इंटीजर्स है कि नहीं इज व्हाट आई एम चेकिंग, तो ये वैलिडेशन दोबारा जारी होगा। ये वैलिडेशन दोबारा चलेगा, एंड देन इफ इट इज नेगेटिव और पॉजिटिव इंटीजर्स वी गेट देम, एंड देन यहाँ एल्स की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, स्टेप इनिशियल वैल्यू मैंने -1 ले लिया, एंड अगर स्टार्ट लेस देन स्टॉप है तो ये स्टार्ट का वैल्यू -4 दैट इज लेस देन -10, कंडीशन फॉल्स है तो स्टेप वैल्यू -1 ही रहेगा, और ये आपने एम्प्टी डिक्शनरी बना दी। एंड दिस इज हाउ यू ऐड एलिमेंट टू अ डिक्शनरी। पिक्ट ऑफ नम विल वैरी इन द रेंज ऑफ स्टार्ट से लेके स्टॉप +1 से लेके स्टेप तक, तो स्टार्ट से लेके स्टॉप तक के सारे ये व्हेन यू यूज एन एक्सप्रेशन डोंट फॉरगेट टू यूज ब्रैकेट्स। एक्सप्रेशन को ब्रैकेट डालो, and then step, and then the print the dictionary. You could have used pretty print also to print the dictionary. Reason is like the dictionary could be very large, like you could give values like 1 to 100, and that dictionary will be difficult for anybody to read. So in that case, if the size goes beyond range, pretty print helps. So you could have just said
P print.
let's see what difference will it make. Again, I give 1 and 100. That's easy to read. And if you wanted, you could also say with 5. We'll leave some space on the margin. Then say that 100 है. So it's all the more better to read. But when you're printing something, don't forget to print the message. So what we have learned today is how to do validation for negative numbers. We are checking if the first character in the string is plus or minus. I get rid of that first character. Then I check is the rest of the characters are they digits. So we enter valid input and we terminate. You could give even more better message instead of just saying what is invalid. So you could have improved it, but that's how you run this particular or design this particular code. I'm sharing this code with you all. Not save the file. We all received the file. At last, I found it.
Yes, sir.
एक दूसरे टीम ने क्या किया यार देखते हैं. ये फेल होने वाला है, रन नहीं होगा। Let's explore that code. Is it going to crash? How does it crash? Let's do it. Please enter the start value. मैंने कहा -5 invalid input. Positive integer चाहिए क्यों? Integer कोई भी आ सकता था. To begin with, I said start with positive, but it should take any digits. The rest तो वही है, बाकी कुछ नहीं है. Only validation was different. Empty value I in the range start stop. Step देने की कोई जरूरत नहीं. That's very correct. Rest is correct. Just do that improvement that we did in validation. Otherwise, rest is okay. This is actually not working if I say -5. So that was an improvement that we brought about. Go through the code that I just now shared. If there is any query, please let me know. We all understood what we have done.
Yes, sir.
Everybody? Quick feedback. Pay attention. I create a range. I say R is equal to a range of 10. I say R is equal to range of 10. So if I print this range, what will it print? If I say print R, what will it print?
From 0 to 10.
0 to
What
9.
will it print? Actually, क्या print करेगा? 0, 1, ऐसे print करेगा? या 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
लिस्ट में 0 1 2 से 10 तक
0 से लेके
9.
9 9
9 तक. It will not do anything. It will just give a range object. 0, 10. We had seen it earlier. It doesn't print the content. To get that content, what we have to do is we have to pass this to a list or something so that this iterable gets converted to a list or a set or a tuple, and then you could print it. So this was only a range object, which is sequence of elements. But to get that sequence, we have to convert into a list. But this is suppose it's a range. So if I want to see what are the elements in that range, the other way to handle this is without converting into a sequence. If I have this R and if I wanted to print, if I just put star, that will also do the magic for me. So let's understand how we can work with ranges further. So I say multiple of 10 is a range of 10, 101, 10. That means 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And I want to print that range. So there is nothing special over here as far as printing these elements goes. So we print these numbers and watch over here on the right hand side, those numbers have got printed. 10 se leke 100 tak it has got printed. So no marks for guessing it right. It just a roll with the range. But why do we need to write such a loop to print those numbers? I could just say asterisk. That means give me the content of that particular list or the iterable. And I say comma separator -1 comma. So if I say comma separator is comma, that means you got this 10, 20, 30 with all commas and everything perfect. So you don't really have to worry about it. Look at that. That's the easiest way. So just to print, not to iterate over, but just to print the elements, you need not write a loop. And that's precisely what we had done earlier. I can put an asterisk before that range object and then say separator agar aapko chahiye, and if I don't give separator, it will print it in this fashion. But if I want to have comma between them, I could give a separator. मैंने यहाँ separator क्या दिया? Comma and a space. So एक comma है और एक space आया है in between these two elements. Now I have first 5 integers, range of 1 to 6. That's a range of 5 integers. Again, if I had printed this in this fashion, that would be sheer waste of time. Running this loop would be sheer waste of time. Instead, what I will do is, yeah, again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instead, I just say asterisk first 5 integers separator -1. And that could print the first 5 integers. But for some reason, I thought of joining these two range. Now, when we are talking about range, we said it's a sequence of elements. Now, sequence, then the first thing that comes to our mind is when we say sequence, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's how. But it could vary sequence, like it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 100, 10, 20, 30, 40, and then it could be 100, 200, 300, 400. These are also sequence of elements. Although the progression may be different, but there can be multiple sequences that can be joined together. If you want to chain together multiple sequences, that's also possible. Look, even while discussing the data types, I discussed the data type without any context. The reason is I wanted you to be aware of those data types. Now it's time for us to use those data types wherever appropriately they are required. So your logic may be very right, but if you do not remember about the data types and other things that we learned in Python, then we end up writing unnecessary code. So Python data types are very strong, make use of it. So here I'm exploring and telling you about some features which are there. Now here, if I wanted to join those multiple ranges, what I could do, there's a module called as Iterator tool, functional tool for creating and using iterators. Now when I use the word iterator, I mean something that will enable me to cycle over a collection of elements. So I say iterator tool.chain, and I can give whatever ranges that I want. So multiple ranges will now be joined together. So if I see this is an object of type iterator tool.chain. Doesn't matter. And if I want to see the elements, I just put a star over here and I say again concatenated range, and I print the elements. Look at that. I got all the elements that I was interested in. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a patch, and then 10, 20, 100, whatever it is, the rest of the elements that were there. So we are joined together multiple range by using iterator tool. So ITR tool. Now, if I go to this ITR tool in Python, watch it. There are a number of other features which are functionality that it provides. Let's go to python.org and the documentation. Yeah, it says functions creating iterators for efficient looping. Okay, and there are so many of them. We are just look at chain. Okay, but then you have drop while, pair while, start map, take while, t, longest zip. So our assignment for today is just try and see if it makes any sense to you. Then we have product, permutation, combination with replacement, and you have all the examples over here. Okay, so take some time out and try and see whatever you understand. Okay, there will be a lot of things that you may not understand. That's fine. But just see what all things are possible. You can at least see the outputs that are there. The ones which are very important that we need to know immediately, I'll quickly explain later. Yes, iterative to our chain, and we'll change the numbers, and then we cycle through that thing. So we have said first 5 integers, multiple of 10 integers, and then we'll cycle through them. Okay, देखते हैं पहला element 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then 5, and then 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 is our elements are 80 and 90 and 100, and we cover. I say odd number का range है 1 से लेके 10 के अंदर का odd numbers, 2 से लेके 11 के even numbers, and 5 से लेके 26 के अंदर के multiples of 5, and you want to join 3 range. Oh, that's possible. तो तीनों को join कर लिया, and then we try to print the entire list. Let's see. Here 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 first odd numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 even numbers, and these multiples of 5. So you could create whatever kind of ranges you like to. A list of even numbers, I have a list of odd numbers. We can also pass list. That means iterator tool.chain, whatever are the elements through which we can iterate, they can be chained to over. they can be chained together. So a tuple can be chained, a list can be chained. You can chain means connect anything which is iterable. Anything which is iterable. So here we go. And we cycle through this chain of lists. So look at this 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. I have a list of alphabets. It doesn't really matter. वो किसका list है क्या है? Let's see what happens in that case if I chain them. A, I, O, U, B, C, D, F. So that we have created chain of them as well. I have a tiger and lion. Can I chain strings? Okay. Let's jump over here to see can I chain strings. So since this is a collection, this is also a collection. Every element over here has been taken as a different value. So TIGRLION. But this is also iterable. This is also iterable. This list is collection of numbers or characters. Likewise, string is collection of characters over here. So these are individual elements from that particular string. All of them have been chained together. I could create a range of floating point values, but we saw it generates an error. If I try and do that, it generates an error. It generates an error. So generate a range of floating point values. So we understood. Can we create a range of floating point values?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
No. It's very much possible. For that purpose, we are not allowed to use range as a function. There are other ways to do that. And there is where for the first time, I'll be introducing you to pandas. And that will provide you this thing because statistics and other things you cannot do without this sequence of such numbers and so on. Here again. Here I have set. Can I change set? So let's run the code all over again and see the last output. So if I run, I can very well chain a set as well. ये देखिएगा ये set line के बाद ये set को भी हमने change कर लिया. So anything which is iterable, set, strings, lists, ranges, everything can be chained together. Everything can be chained together. Anything which is iterable. Iterable is like there is a sequence of elements which are there. There are sequence of elements which are there. Whatever may be the type. It's a iterable. Something in which I can move from the first element to second, second to the third, third to the fourth. It is iterable. I can iterate over it. I can visit every element inside it. So all such things can be chained together. Just remember the idea. Syntax you can always find out, but remember the idea. Anything that is iterable can be chained together. Can be chained together. So let me just.
Sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, फिर string और int chain होगा क्या?
कॉम्बिनेशन करके देखो what would happen if I take a string and an integer. उसको क्या फर्क पड़ता है आपके चेन में क्या है? Okay, it doesn't really matter what is there inside the range. Okay, so for us, the point is like if there are two different types in it, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay, it could be list of, say L1 is list of integers. Where am I typing? L1 is list of integers. I could just say 1, 2, 3. And L2 is list of characters. It could be A, B, C. So is there a restriction? So go and see the docs. But let's try it out. So if I say import ITRPOOLS, and then I say C is equal to ITRPOOLS dot chain L1 comma L2, and then if I say print star C, is that okay?
Yes.
So anything which is iterable can be chained together. Multiple things can be chained together. So that was an advantage of iterator tools. There are fantastic kind of features which are available in this module called as iterator tool. I have introduced a new module today. It's a module. So my advice is, even if you do not understand how to use the various functions which are present in this iterator tool, don't worry, I'll help you out with some of them. I want you as an exercise to go through that module called as iterator tool. I'm just sharing the link with you all. This is a module that I just want you to explore, dekho, and then tomorrow I'll introduce to pandas as well. तो ये आपका डॉक मैंने शेयर किया लिंक, check it out, at least see with the ready-made examples over there what it can achieve, so that tomorrow when you have similar requirement, you don't start thinking of logic, rather just use it and forget. So we are done with for loops. We have seen range, and what remains to be discussed now is like the nested loops is what you would like to learn. Okay, and plus there is something a very interesting two important functions that I have to discuss before we stop with iterative construct. One is enumerate, another is zip. So tomorrow I'll be taking up enumerate and zip. But before we wind up for today's session, Akash and Kaustubh attended interview today. So I want you both to share your experience, what questions were asked, what answers you gave, what difficulties you faced. So the next batch of people, students who are there in the classroom, when they face the interviews, they also have an idea as to what has happened. So Akash, why don't you share your experience? क्या हुआ बताइए?
सर इंटरव्यू चला
Either
मैंने
speak English or Hindi. Some of them don't understand Marathi.
ओके सर, उसमें मुझे सी लैंग्वेज में फॉर लूप व्हाइल लूप के टाइप्स पूछे और डिफरेंस पूछा सब लूप का, और यूनियन क्या है वो भी पूछा। बाद में एसक्यूएल पीएल एसक्यूएल यानी डीबीएमएस पूछा, डीबीएमएस क्या है, एसक्यूएल क्या है और पीएल एसक्यूएल क्या है। उसमें की पूछा, प्राइमरी की, फॉरेन की। बाद में जॉइंस पूछा और जॉइन के टाइप्स पूछे, लेफ्ट जॉइन, राइट जॉइन, इनर जॉइन, फुल जॉइन। उसके बाद प्रोजेक्ट का नाम पूछा सिर्फ, और इतना ही पूछे सर।
Okay. Where did you find it difficult?
डिफिकल्टी तो कुछ नहीं सर, सिर्फ कम्युनिकेशन।
Communication. And
Yes, sir.
remember, I had told you about communication long time back. So
Yes, sir. Yes.
it's equally important how good you are technically. It's equally important whether you can express yourself properly or not. Okay, Akash, I know he's very good technically, but then if you struggle with your language, that creates a hurdle. I will not say language will help you to crack the interview alone. But the worst part is when you know and you cannot explain. That's the worst part. नहीं मालूम है, बता नहीं पाए, that's easy, no problem. When you know something and you cannot express yourself, that's the worst thing to happen. So language skills are also, language means your oral, the natural language like English, Hindi, Marathi, that's also very important. But at the end of the day, you should have knowledge. Otherwise, you may be fluent in English, but you do not know anything about programming. That also doesn't help. So your language
Sir,
skills are also important. Yes, please.
सी प्लस प्लस पहिल्यांदा डिफरेंस पूछा ना उसने, मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा था वो। मैं
So, and these
कंफ्यूज
are
हो
fundamental
गया।
things, correct? We have learned
Yes,
all
sir.
these things in detail.
पण बताया मैंने 4-5 पॉइंट बताए मैंने।
Okay. So all the basic things that they normally start off with, and then they know
Yes.
if the person knows the basic stuff and that he has no confusion, then tomorrow when the time comes for him to acquire new things, he will be learning and remember recollecting all the concepts in a proper way. You have to showcase that you have ability to learn. Okay. And whatever you have learned, you can use it. These are only two things that you have to. It's not very important that how many different things you know. What you have learned, how have you learned that? That is what they will be checking for. First, what was your experience?
So, sir, he first asked me my introduction.
Hmm.
I introduced myself and I added my technical skills in my introduction.
Okay.
And upon that, he asked me that what is the difference between C and Python programming language. Then I explained that. Then he asked me about my location. Where do I
Hold on,
live?
hold
and-
on. C and Python. Remember, even in the Python course at the beginning, we talked about features of C, features of Python, what it is. So
Yes, yes.
this basic understanding is important, how C works, how Python works. So if you have that understanding, that means over a period when you have to make a choice regarding the technology, you have to have at least clear understanding how the technologies work. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. And then he asked me about my location, and luckily, as my location is nearest to their new office, so he told me that our new office is located in Akodi only.
Hmm.
So that's good news. And again, he asked me about why I made a switch to IT from mechanical background. So I answered that I had no interest uh, uh, again. Then he asked a tricky question. I don't know why he asked me that. That the question was, if you get an opportunity to work in mechanical industry, but as a programmer, will you do that?
Ah.
So my answer was that it depends on what kind of role it is and uh, what technology they use. So this was it. Then actually I have learned Power BI also. That so he asked me to show my work on it. So I showed him my dashboard which I have created, and he was
Hold on. While you're
yes.
working with, now that you have worked with Power BI, then make sure that you also look at the dashboards in Excel and even Tableau, the dekh ke rakho, because then again it will give you an understanding as to which one is better. Why, for what purpose will I use Tableau, and for what purpose will I use Excel dashboard, and for what purpose will I use Power BI. So now that you know the purpose of Power BI, correct?
Yes, yes, yes.
So take some time out, some weekend, and explore Tableau and also explore Excel dashboards, just for your additional
Yes, yes.
information.
Yes, yes, yes. So he was impressed with my dashboard, and then he told me that he gave me heads up that I will be contacted by HR, and that
Okay,
was
take
pretty
any
much it.
question?
No, he asked me about no, that was it.
No technical questions?
Just one or two technical, and then he also asked me if I have knowledge on SQL. And I told him that I have certification in SQL, and he pretty much did not ask anything technical about it.
Okay. When somebody has certification, the kind of did you for another thing that you should always do is, did you visit the company website and
Yes,
saw
yes,
the
sir.
details?
I saw his profile also, and
Ah.
also their company profile. I
Who was your
got,
interviewer?
sir, it was Deepesh Chandwani,
Okay.
and uh, yes, sir. And I saw their LinkedIn profile where their main branch is in Jaipur, another one in Saudi Arabia, and in Pune.
Dipesh Sharma used to be my ex-student only.
Okay, okay.
He's a very dedicated student, and he was exceptionally well in Java and C++.
Okay.
Good in Java. He learned everything from me: Java, C, C++. I think data structures, logic, everything. Anyway,
Yes.
important thing is that. But what did you understand about the company when you explored it?
So they told me that.
No, what they told me, what you understood.
Okay. So I understood that they work on Oracle, and yeah, and they create ERP softwares for companies. That was my understanding, basic understanding. But
Okay.
apart from that,
After
another
reading that,
सर
he
मुझे
told,
yes, Akash.
मुझे ERP पता है, पूछा था मैंने बोला नहीं
Correct.
पता है।
Okay.
वही
Yes, so
क्वेश्चन नहीं था आया था मुझे।
you could not answer ERP?
सर नहीं दिया।
Okay. Anyway, enterprise is play. Okay. Please hold. Huh? Now
then
find out, huh, Akash.
yes. So he told me about what they actually do, and he specifically mentioned that they create a ERP software for companies, and they plan their they handle their HR, they handle their purchase or their softwares. Basically, handles everything about their company. And he also told me that what I will be doing is I will be handling the HR data as in my role. So that was pretty much it. And he told me, he also asked me about my salary expectation.
Okay. Salary,
Yes.
don't worry, they will not do anything different for any particular grade. It's all upon the company policy only. So don't worry
Okay.
about salary. Tell them whatever you are for that given post, whatever is the company norm. I'll go ahead with that.
Okay.
Another
Okay.
important thing is like, did you read my article that I shared with you yesterday, past and
Yes, yes,
SAS?
yes. Sir, everything I read everything. IAS, IAAS, PAAS, SAAS, and
Now could you relate with the company and that those things that I have given?
सर वो किया तो पर पूछा ही नहीं।
अरे पूछा नहीं, वही था आपका ERP वगैरह everything that they have asked was
yes, sir,
exactly the
yes,
same.
sir.
कैन यू रिलेट? वही मैं
Yes.
कह रहा हूँ, मैंने आपको जो
Yes,
हिंट दिया
sir,
था वो
वो-
रिलेट कर पाए क्या?
वो SaaS प्रोवाइड करते SaaS
तरी
सॉफ्टवेअर
सॉफ्टवेअर सर प्लॅटफॉर्म येत मला येत होतं मग मी नाही सांगितलं.
पण हे रिलेट करता आलं पाहिजे ना. आपण जे वाचलंय दॅट यू शुड बी क्वेश्चन रिलेट टू व्हॉट हॅज बीन आस्क्ड. Okay,
Yes.
the company is not the one, because when we go to the product, they are not developing software from scratch. They have this Oracle, they are customizing it for customers.
Yes.
And they are providing it as a service, the software as a service. So
Sir,
if
the
your
platform,
company
sir,
requires
yes,
this
sir,
much
yes.
part, they will customize only that much and give it to you. So otherwise the software which will take 1 year to develop, they will commission that software. अगर आपके लिए HR solution बोला है, you may commission in 5 days or even lesser than that.
Yes.
For software which would otherwise take 1 year to develop. Why? Because that ERP is already done. They will only customize that ERP to suit to the
According-
customer requirement.
Yes.
So software programming है, but it's more about a customization than developing something from scratch.
Yes.
So it's not product development. The product is there. It's about customizing the product to fit to the client's requirement.
Yes.
So others also, I had shared some links yesterday regarding SaaS and PaaS and IaaS. So please go through those links. That will help you understand some basic ideas as to what this particular domain is all about. And believe me, there are very few companies which actually go ahead with developing software from scratch. Many of the companies, normally what they end up doing is customizing the existing modules which are there to create an application. Because developing software from scratch requires huge commitment from the company side and investment also. And not many companies can afford that kind of investment and that kind of commitment. Big multinationals do it. But most of the companies, either they take some open source project that they customize, just that the client doesn't know about it, or they are partners. Now, like this company, we were educational partners for Oracle and they are deployment partners for Oracle. That means Oracle has 154 different products, and ERP is one of the most one of the popular kind of products that they have solutions. They have HR solutions, they have payroll solutions, they have Oracle, and that can be customized to requirement of any organization. So these companies customize those softwares and they do a deployment that too very quickly at a very marginal cost as compared to developing software from scratch.
Yes.
Okay, so
तर वर्क मग ओरेकल वर आणि ते ERP वरच राहील का?
समजून घ्या, ओरॅकल हे कंपनीचं नाव आहे आणि कंपनीचे प्रोडक्ट्स आहेत. and one of the product name is Oracle, which is database. कोई भी
Okay.
ऑर्गेनाइजेशन उसमें डेटाबेस तो रहेगा ही रहेगा.
Yes, sir. Yes.
This company is not developing database. This company is not developing a software from scratch. This particular company that you had today visited is what is it doing is Oracle has number of ERP solutions that are customizing those softwares to fit to the requirement of the client. Okay. तो Oracle पे काम करना मतलब Oracle के प्रोडक्ट पे काम करना. Oracle is a company, उसके प्रोडक्ट पे काम करना है so that that product can be of some use to the client.
Sir, so basically
Okay.
they used at is like PaaS and they provide the SaaS, right?
Yes, yes. Okay, so everything cloud and everything will be provided. Okay, customer कुछ invest नहीं करना है, dump terminal लेना है, next day they can start working.
Yes,
That's all.
yes.
कोई hardware नहीं, कोई software नहीं, कुछ नहीं, and their automation is done.
Yes.
Okay,
तर
and
3 महिने ट्रेनिंग देणार आहेत मग काय देणार आहेत?
of course they will train you. These kind of technologies are not taught in the classroom. Neither can I teach. Okay, so
Okay, sir.
you will learn it only on the field. But then make a check it out what role they are providing, क्या होगा, क्या नहीं, and is there any commitment in terms of are they asking you for some commitment for 6 years, 1 month, ऐसा कुछ पूछ रहे हैं क्या? And then let's discuss or take a call after that. But in terms of opportunities to travel up is tremendous to an extent that you will get frustrated because ऐसे products में होता क्या है, you have to commission the software.
Yes.
तो commission है तो client interaction होगा, तो to gather information, to understand the client operations, because अपना logic में the what are the first step? Gather information,
Yes.
understand. You remember step 1. Unless you
Yes,
do not
yes.
have the data information, what are you going to solve problem? Here it says
Requirement.
solve requirement specification. Okay, so requirements. So there is huge in such kind of companies. There is huge interaction with the client that you have to do. And once you understand the requirements of the client, then comes customizing the software to fit the requirement of the client. For installation, for commissioning. So you will have to travel worldwide. And this company has a lot of installation in the Middle East. A lot of installations in the Middle East.
Yes, they specifically mentioned Saudi Arabia.
A lot of installations in the Middle East. So, opportunity travel hai, but then at least go through that process. There is always a learning that happens when you go through that process. And once we get a break, na, then later it is easy to make a switch over also. अरे अब इसमें नहीं अब किसी और डोमेन में काम करेंगे. If you do something here, when you learn Java after learning Python or things, तो ये Oracle database हो गया. And you have already done certification Oracle, so no problem. But अगर आपने आगे जाके Java सीखा, then you can go in for Salesforce. There are a lot of opportunities which are available because they use Java like technology for doing similar kind of ERP. So if you know Oracle, if you know Salesforce, so you know both the big competitors which are there in this domain, market में जो major competitors है in that domain. So you are a useful resource for anybody, किसी भी company के लिए. All multinationals use it. Almost all of them use this kind of products. Some of
सर
them.
मग बॉन्ड वगैरे करूनच घेतील का ते?
Who knows? Ask them. Na? I normally don't prefer companies who go with bond. And अगर long term bond रहेगा तो I never recommend anybody. कि अगर उन्हें कहा 3-4 साल 4 करना ही नहीं है. There are a number of opportunities that comes in.
किती वर्षाचा असेल तर?
That can be thought about. ना क्या काम दे रहे? We can discuss it, but just talk to them, find out, go through the entire process. अब फिलहाल initially hi कहो, you can always say no at the very last time. Understand where it takes you, and if everything is very good enough, then you can take a call. Okay, so and sometimes it so happens. Sometimes we don't have anything on hand. तब तो जो आए वो अच्छा भी होता है sometimes. Okay, but that does not mean this is the only one that I share with you. आएंगे companies, I'll share other opportunities also with you all, so that you can get a chance. Okay, but we are still in the early stages of writing program development. So I'm not recommending you to some company where hardcore development chahiye. You have to be very good in C++ and object-oriented technologies and so on. So I'm not recommending right away. So slowly I'll recommend you to those companies as well. Okay.
Okay, sir.
If you have
Sir.
a strong idea about C++, I have a fantastic right now a company approaching us for some knowledge of C++. But then they are looking out for modern C++ and everything, because the company is migrating from traditional C++ to modern C++. And I had conducted a program over there, and they said, "Wo koi aapke bande to bhejo." But I understood the depth that they were looking at for. So if you're prepared for some technologies, please keep on sharing with me and explore. जो मैंने कल article, others also explore the articles that I've given. It will add knowledge. और notebook में लिखा करो whatever little you understand, because बाद में पूरा पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं होती. The little that crux if you write in a notebook, that's good enough. वो पढ़ने पर पूरी story याद आ जाती है. To maintain the notebooks, for these two guys, I have shared some links. Go through those links. It will help you a lot. And I think I had also shared a link about the next event for SonarQube. Yeah, I did not.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, yes.
Okay, करके रखो register, because we always require those kind of skill sets. 12th of this month we have that event, so don't forget to attend that event as well.
Yeah.
12th of June we have this event. Don't forget to attend that event. Okay. So with that note, we'll stop over here today. See you tomorrow. Take care. Love you all. Bye bye.
Sir,
Thank you, sir.
Dipesh